morning, friends. We are actually going on a little bit of a last minute adventure. We're going to go to a used bookstore. It's about an hour and a bit drive away, and so we don't go there very often, but we decided to go today. The baby's dropping his morning nap, so we've got some morning time. It's a Saturday. Why not? If you're new to this channel, I'm Emily, and I love to talk about cozy, wholesome books here, and I'm just excited to see if I can find some new books for my collection. So, let's see what we find. Hello friends, welcome back. I am here to show you the little book haul that I was able to pick up yesterday after we went to the bookstore. I had hoped to film some little clips and snippets of the books and things while we were there. However, going to the bookstore with a couple of little boys was a very, very different experience to one that I have experienced before. And it was not the most enjoyable, like slowly browse through all of the books type of an experience. It was a lot more hectic than that. But I did end up being able to pick up a few things. I wasn't able to find any of the authors I really wanted to, like D.E. Stevenson or Mary Stewart or Betty Neals or anything like that, which was a little sad. I was a little bummed about that. But I also didn't really have the time to completely and fully look, so I might have been able to find some if I had. But I did find some classics and a couple of like more kidsy books, and we'll just start with this one. Every time I go to this particular store, I try and pick up another one of Louis L'Amour's books in this leatherette edition. This time I got Rivers West. I believe, I was trying to quickly like flip through these again, a little bit chaotic. I think this one might be in the Chantry series. I can't remember for sure, but I'm actually really excited. I kind of want to pick this one up and read it. I've been really, really wanting to read a Louis L'Amour book, but I haven't really known where to start. And so I might end up picking up this one. It's one of his shorter ones, so it would be a quick read, but very, very pleased to have another one to add to my collection. I've got, I don't know, maybe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe almost 20 in this edition, and I would love to have the entire set, which is like, I think it's approaching 100. So I've got a ways to go. But every time I go to this particular store, I do try and pick up another book. Then I got this one, Courting Morrow Little by Laura France. This is actually, I am planning to have this as a gift for my mother-in-law. She really enjoys Laura France's books. I have not actually read any of them. This one sounds particularly interesting because it has on here, the sweeping tale of romance and forgiveness will envelop you as it takes you from a Kentucky fort, if you're new here, I live in Kentucky, through the vast wilderness of the West. And it just sounds very interesting. It sounds really fun. It sounds like it could be a really enjoyable romance book. So, we'll see. I may end up reading this before I gift it to my mother-in-law, but that was kind of the plan, is a gift for my mother-in-law. Laura France is one of her all-time favorite authors, and so anytime, for Christmas, I found a Laura France book at Goodwill, and so I was able to pick it up and gift it to her for Christmas, which was really lovely. So that's kind of what I'm going to look at going forward, is trying to find some of the different physical books from some of her favorite authors and just pick them up when I see them and have them on hand for birthdays or Christmas. And then I got, this is kind of a silly one, I got it because it was 50 cents. It's the Opie book of nursery rhymes. It's by Iona and Peter Opie, and it's illustrated by Pauline Baines, and this is just a very sweet, cute, like, I love nursery rhymes so much. This section right here is just my Mother Goose type selections and children's poetry collection. I think I have maybe like 8 or 9 different Mother Goose books, so I love Mother Goose and nursery rhymes, and I really need to get better about reading them to my little boys because I would love to kind of bring them up on that. But it's just a really sweet, like, all the different familiar nursery rhymes that I've read before and ones that I've never heard of before. And so, yeah. Yeah. That one looks really funny. I haven't actually read that one. Anyway, not to get distracted, but yeah, it was 50 cents, and I was like, you know what, I love nursery rhymes, why not? So, kind of a silly one. Then I got, we'll just quickly talk about this one. I'm kind of saving the best for last, if you will. I got Richard Scarry's What People Do All Day for my toddler. He really likes cars and trucks and buses and all that sorts of stuff, trains, and I thought that this could be a really fun book to read to him. So I love Richard Scarry. His artwork and his books are just amazing. And I need to try and maybe today read him some of this. But got that one. That was a couple dollars. Then I got 2 books by Anthony Trollope to add to my slowly growing collection. I got The Small House at Allington and Dr. Wardle's School. I have been kind of reminded of Anthony Trollope. I fell in love with the Dr. Thorne miniseries that came out several years ago now. I have watched it so many times. It's probably one of my all-time favorite period dramas. And so after I watched that, I had not heard of Anthony Trollope before. And so then I ended up going on a look and finding his Dr. Thorne book that the miniseries was based off of. And I read his book. And then since then I've kind of heard of his Barsetshire series that he has, and I've been slowly collecting them, and I have yet to read any of his books other than Dr. Thorne, but I would really like to. And so I'm pretty sure I've heard of Dr. Wardle's School from somebody, and I don't know who. I know that Kate from Kate Howe has mentioned Anthony Trollope, and she talked about that this year she's trying to read through the do some buddy reads with the Barsetshire with his series, his main series, and that I was like, oh, maybe that's a little push I need to try and read some of Anthony Trollope's books. But I got this one because it sounded intriguing and I loved the picture. It's the 5th in his series. Ooh, okay. It says it's primarily a love story. I don't have this one yet. I have a few of his other ones, but I don't have this one. And so I knew that I wanted to read through this Barsetshire series. And so I went ahead and grabbed it. And then this one, I thought it would be really fun to read more of his works, and this one looked smaller, so that maybe I could read it, and it wouldn't be quite as much of a endeavor, if you will. And this one was like a couple dollars, so got both of those. And then I grabbed this one, A Lantern in Her Hand by Bess Streeter Aldrich, and I got this one purely because I remember reading it as a younger girl and really loving it. And there's like a bit at the beginning where she's trying to figure out who she's going to marry, and there's a couple of different options of men, and I just remember thinking it was so romantic. And I do remember that some of the later stuff is quite sad, and there are some very sad things that happen, but overall I remember really, really loving this book. So I'm kind of hoping to reread it, and I found it again for like a couple of dollars, and so I was like, well, why not? Grab that one. And then the last book is The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens. Now, I am not the biggest Charles Dickens fan. I would just say that right off the bat. I say that having a number of his different books. I have really enjoyed some of the miniseries based off of his books. I could not really say that I've enjoyed reading his works yet. However, I grabbed this. I think it was about $4. I grabbed this because I feel like the number of times that I have heard the Pickwick Papers mentioned in older literature, so like Little Women, it came up in one of the period dramas that I watch, maybe Cranford, which I haven't read Cranford yet. Don't tell Kate. I really need to read more of Elizabeth Gaskell's stuff, but anyway. I've seen this book mentioned a number of times. People talk about how hilarious it is, and there's just so many references to the Pickwick Papers, and I've never read it. And so I saw it, I was like, this is a really, really nice edition. It was $4, and I thought, why not? Again, I very likely will not get to this anytime soon. It is quite a chunky book. This particular edition, let's see, has 743 pages, so it's quite beefy, and the type isn't very large, so there's a lot to it. I don't think that I will be getting to it anytime soon. However, it is something that I think I would like to try and get through at some point. I'd like to read it. There's a number of different Dickens that I do think that I would like. I don't know. His particular writing is harder for me to really enjoy. I like the bare bones story, but then trying to get through all of his extra verbiage is a little challenging at times, and I have to be in the right brain space for it. But that is my little book haul. It was really nice because this particular bookstore, I was able to sell some of the books that I was destashing and whatnot, and so it actually ended up being, and there were a couple of books that my husband got that I don't have here, so it ended up being, with the credit that we got for selling the books, right around $10 worth of books, which is not bad for used books. I do get a little bit spoiled by the library book sales that I go to, where I could get like 2 or 3 times as many books for like 20 bucks, but it was a pretty reasonable price. So that is all that I have for this one. Again, I am hoping, this was an unplanned video. This was an unplanned bookstore trip. I was planning to do my count up of books for 2025. That hasn't happened yet. So I'm hoping to actually maybe this afternoon, if I can escape the laundry loads, sit down and count up how many books I read last year and take a look at that. But hopefully the next video will be that video. We shall see. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope that you've enjoyed, and I will see you shortly on the next one. Bye.